What's up you guys, today I got this very new special idea, which is how to make a lo-fi beat, because I actually got a lot of experience on this matter. I listened to a lot of lo-fi too. So first thing I started off with was this this new plugin, which is free until the 30th of April, and if you're not fast enough, you're gonna miss out. The preset I used was Anticipation. I put the filter tool at the half. Then you have half synth and a half violin kind of thing. That's the whole concept of this plugin. Amazing instrument for lo-fi. I really recommend enabling the scale function in Ableton 11. I'm on Ableton 11 now, guys. This is the scale I'm using. I really just play on feel on the piano, and then when I did that, I kind of just go off and edit how I feel. Really, you can really look at this as like, this is like one chord, pick the last note and put it one octave down. Simple shit like that, like simple inversions. That's what I used. Also use this little note over here, and that's really it. There's nothing more to it. As you can see, like very emotional kind of feel to this sample. Like it sounds very nostalgic. I cut out some lows because there was some unwanted sub children in the bass section. So I cut that off. Then I also had this grand piano, which I also did the same thing with the sub because there was a little bit too much sub in there. Same chord progression, nothing changed. Then in this chord progression, something did change. Spread all the chords out so that it will really function as a pad and would play the notes all the way till the next chord. This is the grand piano reverse, which is only a stock plugin in Ableton. So if you're not in Ableton, I'm sorry. You can still download this trial and sample it and put it into your own DAW. That's some gem right there. This grand piano equal stock people. You don't need all the great atmosphere, like, you know what I mean. You can also use some free shit. By the way, the trial allows saving and exporting. So if you think it's like a sucky trial, no, it's not a sucky trial at all. It's a great trial. So go grab it, man. Over here we got this channel 2. I sampled from my keyboard over here. I used an analog sound in there, and I just skipped across the presets, recorded it through my audio interface. I also added a lot of EQ because I really don't want the extremes in there. Also added the ozone to widen the sound, a glue compressor to level the sound out better. Then I also added this waves plugin, which is really nice, this lo-fi space stereo thing. Yup, that camera done went off.
My computer base done went down. Make a hurry.
We got this waves plugin over here, this lo-fi space stereo plugin. The mix is at 40%. I disabled the echo. I really don't love the echo, but I do love the reverb function. Really makes everything sound lo-fi, to be honest. And when you combine all those things, you get this chord progression. And this grand piano over here is just as you can see over here, we also got this guitar recorded. The only knowledge really behind this is I looked between these two chords over here, analyzed them so I could play them on the guitar, and that were these stems over here. As you can hear, it sounds very shitty, but that was actually my purpose, because you over here have these nuts. These modes, and I always choose for complex pro. Use this kind of mode. You can really make the sound more artificial. So this is something I picked up very recently. I have looked over it for a really long time, but when you do this all the way till 0, it really sounds more artificial. Also, there's some random tuckling over here. And doing that format and envelope thing all the way down. Over here, another part, which is some tuckling I did, but an octave below that. Please mind that this is recorded in the complex mode, so this is not meant to sound artificial. This is meant to sound pretty fresh and really not refabricated, but really, you know, nice recorded. So when you add all of that together, in a groove, which I did over here, I put over this stock Ableton free audio effect, which is basically a free RC20. You don't need RC20. I think it's so stupid. People think they need to buy these plugins, but what you're doing when you're buying these plugins is you're making sure you're sounding exactly the same like all those other producers that bought RC20. So really just don't buy it, to be honest, like, because you can get this shit free in Ableton. This color thing, I really love it. I just drag the vinyl all the way down, drag the drive a little bit down because it's mostly of the time it's a little bit too aggressive. But then also I drag down this depth and flutter thing because it's a little bit too high by default. But hey, that's just learning how to tweak with the shit that you have. I really think people underestimate that part of producing. Then another thing I added was this small kind of riser I made myself. You can grab this in the free pack down below in the description. Really small riser, but the subtle change makes a lot of difference in this beat, at least. Then for this bass, I went into stock. If you haven't noticed by now, I really use a lot more stock when I'm making lo-fi rather than trap. So I really recommend doing that too, because Ableton got some real great stuff in the packs section over here. You see, you got these packs over here. You just press the download button and it's gonna download the stuff it wants to download, and then you just press install. It's gonna take a while, like say 1 minute, and then it installs all those instruments and extra free Ableton clips, aka MIDI clips, into your library, and you can use them. So I really recommend doing that too. This kick thing, I really recommend just playing it in. It's a lot easier when you play it in. I hate dropping this in. Then I just took this really odd rim. I knew I wanted to use something odd, so I used this rim. Sounds very dry, so I cut out some lows, and then I put it in the second channel where I put a lot of reverb into it, and it's a slightly different sound. It's not the same rim, believe me. You see how that could make a difference if it's slapped together. I also have these hi-hats in here. How I would go about a basic process of a lo-fi hi-hat is I would draw in this pattern, something like it, like this, the most basic two-step pattern you can get. Then play around with the timing, make sure you do this thing. Or also something very interesting is when you just select every other note and then you also displace it. When you do it like this, it will create a pocket. And then the only thing you gotta do is adjust the velocities. Keep in mind to make your first count more heavy. To make the first count louder, that will usually sound better. So keep that in mind when you're making this type of tracks. There's actually something really interesting going on. I always used sidechain, but when you use this thing over here, this is like the glue compressor, which I always have on my master to make sure it's not clipping. I went in here and I did the totally opposite thing from what I'm doing in my mastering. So that's a slow attack and a fast release. It creates that sidechain effect, but it does that for all the drums without needing to sidechain to a kick and do all that crazy processing stuff. I like it this way because I still have a lot more control over what I do. When it's just the kicks really punch out too hard sometimes for me. So when I use this technique, it actually sounds decent. This is how all the drums sound together, but I noticed I forgot something. So this is this kit over here. I downloaded from these packs, the session drum multi-mic thing, the studio thing, the club thing. It's all nice. Go look for a kit in there. Put the kit in there, it will sound amazing. Please don't get overwhelmed by this pattern because there's really not too much going on. I just use my drum knowledge, but it's basically this ride which I have over here, which is pinging every count of the lo-fi beat, and then I leave one count out over here simply because I don't want to make it too repetitive. Played a little bit with the velocities of those rides. Also added this hi-hat pedal, which is really interesting. In trap music we use those closed heads, but in reality when you're playing on a real acoustic drum set, you need to step with your left foot like this, and it will make you close the cymbals, so the sounds actually, so you can actually control the sound with your foot. So that's what I was used to playing all the time back in, like, I guess what you could call church in America. This is this step thing where you just use the cymbal, stepping on the cymbal. But when you do that, it will make the same, like almost the same short hi-hat sound, and that's kind of what I went for in this thingy. I will let you guys hear the note. So I have the going every count to just keep the count going. Then over here I have this roll of a. When you have a snare drum and you put the stick on there and you do this thing, there's a rim on there. So if you do that, the rim will react to it. Then I also have this kick, which I also had a kick in here. Maybe layering kicks in lo-fi might be a key. I don't know. You need to try for yourself. I can't see for you. And this is this also a third kick, people, a third kick. It's very subtle, but it adds to the bounce. It's more active in the sub regions and has a more organic sound to it. These two things, when you bring those two worlds together, I really think they bring the best out of both worlds, because when you have rock bands, there are certain things that are missing when you're actually producing on a PC, but then when you're using a PC only, it sounds very robotic. So get those two worlds to collide with each other, you know? So when you get all of those drums together, it sounds something like this. So at the end over here, I forgot to explain that I have a little fill going on. When you're playing drums, give you this knowledge. You have a thumb over here. That's the highest thumb. Then you have a thumb over there. That's usually lower. And then you have the floor thumb, which is standing on the floor. And that one sounds really, really low. So when you're playing on a drum set, you will usually go. And when you do that in lo-fi, it will automatically sound so much more organic. I want you to experiment. Don't listen to what I said. Don't do it. It's just advice. Go off on your own. Just go for it, man. Just go in your own DAW and try the shit out for yourself. This is the beat.
Bruh, is that George?
So really, I appreciate you guys for watching. I really love the support I'm getting. Please, you know, if you loved it, let me know, because I really want to have contact with you guys. I don't look at you as one view. I look at you as a person viewing my content all the way till the fucking end. I love you guys till death.